Billionaire saw housekeeper keep her cool during robbery. What she did in 15 seconds shocked Brazil. Camila Duarte was crossing the side gate of the Salgado mansion with a worn backpack on her back and silent steps. It was still 6 in the morning, and the uptown neighborhood, with its tree-lined, quiet streets, slept peacefully. As always, no one noticed her arrival, not the security guard dozing in the booth, nor the security camera, poorly positioned and covered in dust. But she noticed everything. She was wearing the light blue uniform of the outsourced cleaning company, worn pants, a shirt with the faded logo, gloves in her hand, headphones with no music, a disguise to avoid conversation. For her, silence was a choice and a shield. Inside, the mansion already buzzed with activity. Chefs, decorators, electricians, and production assistants rushed to prepare the big charity party that night. There would be politicians, businessmen, artists, and influencers. The event of the year. And Camila was there to clean the floor that all of them would walk on. "You were 2 minutes late yesterday, you know," Veronica Salgado said as soon as she saw her. She wore a white silk robe and an expression of disgust disguised as elegance. "This isn't the favela, Camila. If you can't keep time, there are others to take your place." Camila only nodded, not meeting her employer's gaze. She hung her jacket in the closet and started working. Marble floors, glass, brushed steel, everything gleaming, the kind of place that demands even the shine to shine more. While she cleaned the main room, she overheard comments from the socialites rehearsing for the event. "Who's that over there? Must be some set extra, or the cleaner really. Cleaner, with that retired military face. Looks like she's going to wipe our heads off with a mop." Camila cleaned in silence. But inside, old memories hit like a hammer on metal. Sand, screams, gunfire, blood. The memory came like lightning. Her, in uniform, carrying a wounded comrade on her shoulders amid crossfire, hands shaking, short breaths. The mission failed, people died, and she was never the same. Back in the hall, Camila's eyes scanned the room almost involuntarily. The placement of the cameras, the emergency exits, the door with the disabled security lock, the blind spot behind the staircase, details nobody else saw. But for her, they were impossible to ignore. The only break came at noon. Sitting in the corner of the storage room, she ate lunch in silence. Rice, a hard-boiled egg, and a stale roll. It was there that Alejandro Torres walked past her for the first time that day. "Camila, right?" She looked up. He was different from the others. A simple suit, a steady look, but not arrogant. "Yes, sir. I've seen you here before. You work well." "I do what needs to be done, sir." He smiled briefly, almost imperceptibly, then disappeared down the corridor. At night, everything was shining. Chandeliers lit, waiters circulating with glasses and canapes, guests laughing loudly with that forced tone typical of people who've never had to hear no. Camila was discreetly cleaning the corners of the kitchen when she heard the first screams. "It's a robbery!" The sharp crack of a gunshot echoed through the hall. The music stopped. The lights went out. Panic. 3 hooded, armed men stormed in through the back garden. One fired into the air. Another kicked a table. The third shouted, "Everybody on the floor! Nobody tries to be a hero, or you'll die rich and stupid." Chaos ensued. Women in heels stumbled trying to run. Men hid behind velvet sofas. One guest tried to escape through the side door, got a butt stroke to the head, and fell unconscious. Camila, however, did not move like the others. She stayed crouched between the pantry and the service staircase, observing, calculating, breathing slowly. The robbers were amateurs. One of them was shaking, another shouted too much. They were nervous, unsure. That made them dangerous but also vulnerable. Camila took off her gloves slowly, fixed her eyes on the targets, identified positions, weapons, routes. The instinct she'd tried to bury for years woke up. There was no longer a uniform, no rank. But there she was, a machine trained to survive, to eliminate threats, to protect lives. In the room, Veronica knelt crying, clutching her purse like a shield. Alejandro, behind an armchair, tried to calm a child who wouldn't stop screaming. Camilla knew she had seconds, maybe minutes, and that was all she needed. Then, with the precision of someone who had done this before, she began to move. The silence after the shot was thick as smoke. One of the thieves walked among the guests with his gun raised, kicking bags, grabbing phones, ripping off jewelry with brutality. Another watched the main door. The third, more nervous, sweated under his hood and spun in circles with his finger on the trigger, ready to shoot at any shadow. Camilla, still crouched between the pantry and the service stairs, took a deep breath. Hands tucked to her body, heart slowing, absolute focus. She was no longer the cleaner. She was the soldier. During advanced special operations training, Camilla had learned to map an environment in seconds, observe, anticipate, act with precision. The instructor's voice echoed in her mind. Every detail around her became part of a plan. Weapon 1. Glock 9mm, extended magazine, carried by a man with a crooked posture, right shoulder lower, old injury, fragility. Weapon 2, rusty revolver, shaking hand, the nervous one, vulnerable to a quick surprise attack. Weapon 3, an improvised carbine, slow to reload, the leader, but without a vest. He believed he was in control. Camilla saw the handle of the industrial broom leaning against the laundry wall. It was reinforced aluminum, ideal length. She picked it up without making a sound, wrapped a damp mop head around the tip, felt its weight in her hands. Enough. The first to go down was the one with the revolver. Camilla approached silently from behind, sliding down the side corridor. When he turned, he only saw a shadow before the precise blow to the jaw. He collapsed, the gun flying away. Silence. No one saw. Not yet. The second, the Glock guy, noticed his partner's absence. "Where's Jonas?" He started walking toward the pantry. Camilla waited. When he passed the side entrance, she struck his legs, knocking him down. Before he could get up, she kicked the gun away and applied an armbar she'd learned in hand-to-hand combat training. He screamed. She pressed harder. "Shh, you're going to sleep for a bit." The man went out cold. From the hall came a murmur. Someone beginning to realize something was changing. Only the third remained, the leader. "Jonas? Carlinhos?" He walked tense, the carbine raised, spinning his body. When he turned, he saw Camilla standing in the middle of the corridor. "Who are you?" Camilla didn't answer. She advanced like a lightning bolt. He fired, missed. She dove to the side, rolled on the floor, and was already behind him when he tried to reload. A kick to the back unbalanced him. He spun, desperate, trying to hit her with the butt, but she was already within striking distance. 2 quick punches, one to the stomach, another to the face. He dropped to his knees. Camilla grabbed him by the collar, pulled him back, immobilized him with a chokehold, and slammed him against the wall with brutal precision. The gun clattered with a dry thud. The whole hall heard it. Now, everyone was watching. Silence. The guests rose slowly, trying to understand. Camilla stepped out of the shadows, walking with firm steps. Her hands were clean, but her eyes carried the mark of someone who had been in war zones. Veronica Salgado's eyes widened. What was that?" Camilla looked at her, for the first time, with firmness. "It was just a housekeeper cleaning up the mess." The mansion's guards, locked in a room after being overpowered, were released. The police arrived minutes later. Handcuffed, the criminals were led out, confused. "It was her, that woman. She broke my arm," muttered the Glock robber. The officer looked at Camilla. "Ma'am, are you military?" Camilla hesitated. Alejandro appeared at her side. "She saved everyone here. I suggest you start with thanks before asking questions." The officer nodded awkwardly as ambulances took the lightly injured away and the press began to gather at the gates. The guests clustered. Some still shook. Others tried to make sense of what they'd witnessed. She disarmed 3 men, alone, with a broom handle. Is she like a ninja? No, she's a soldier. Camilla walked out to the exterior area, sat on the same bench where she'd eaten her lunch hours before, looked at her hands. They didn't shake, not anymore. Alejandro approached. I recognized the movement. Did you serve? She looked at him, thought about lying, denying it, but there was no longer any reason to hide. Special Forces, mission abroad. I left 5 years ago. Alejandro nodded. Me too. Marines. I left in 2009. I tried to erase the past, but it comes back, always comes back. Camilla smiled almost imperceptibly. The difference is how we choose to use it. In the security room, the monitors kept recording. The humiliations, the contempt, the jokes, and the turnaround, all recorded, all ready to explode on social media. The video leaked before breakfast. There was no stopping it. The Salgado Mansion's security cameras had captured everything. The humiliations aimed at the housekeeper, the mocking laughter, and finally, the stunning transformation of Camila Duarte, who disarmed 3 criminals with a composure that could only be forged in combat. Within an hour, the video was a storm on social media. Hero Housekeeper was dominating the trending topics. First came surprise, then an outpouring of emotion. Journalists tried to dig into the past of the anonymous woman. Security experts praised her tactical moves, but what really captured the public was the contrast. The woman who cleaned the floors everyone walked on was, in truth, an invisible warrior. The guests' prejudiced remarks went viral as fuel. Veronica's sneer, "This isn't the favela, Camilla," became a meme, a remix, even a slogan printed on t-shirts. But this time, the laughter was at her expense. The elite collapsed in public. Camilla spent that day locked in her tiny apartment, away from the digital chaos, not out of fear, but exhaustion. She didn't want to be a symbol or a flag. She just wanted to go back to anonymity, but she knew that was no longer possible. By late afternoon, Alejandro showed up. No cameras, no reporters, just one veteran recognizing another. He didn't waste time on small talk. Handed her an envelope. Inside, a direct proposal. Director of Corporate Security at Torres Group. A leadership role. Authority, structure, respect. Alejandro didn't say much, just enough to make clear he knew who she was and what she represented. Camilla stared at the proposal for long minutes, didn't answer right away. But he understood. She needed time. The decision wasn't about a job, it was about choosing to exist fully again. While Camilla weighed her choice, Veronica Salgado was sinking. Companies severed contracts, sponsors cancelled deals. The image of the glamorous socialite gave way to awkward apology tours on talk shows, but no one wanted to listen. The elite had lost control of the story. 2 days later, Camilla appeared in public for the first time. A short press conference, no prepared speech, just one firm line. "I wasn't brave, I just did what needed to be done, like I always have." The line exploded, became her signature. Now, she was a symbol, even if she never asked to be. Taking on the new role was harder than the public imagined. The Torres Group headquarters was the opposite of everything she knew. Modern, fortified, rules written on glass walls. But Camilla walked in with the posture of someone who would never again allow herself to be diminished. In her first week, she restructured the security system, identified flaws, dismissed incompetent staff, and created new protocols. She did it quietly, but those paying attention noticed. One afternoon, a letter arrived, handwritten, shaky script. It was from a teenage girl named Diane from the countryside. "Camilla, I'm also a cleaner. I study at night. I never thought someone like us could be respected. Thank you for showing me I can be more." Camilla held the letter tightly. She didn't cry, but something inside her, silent for years, rose up. It was dignity. Time moved quickly. The media frenzy cooled down, but Camilla Duarte's image endured. Not as a viral clip, but as a symbol, the woman everyone ignored, the soldier no one saw coming, the leader who never asked for permission to exist. And even without seeking revenge, life delivered justice. 6 months had passed. 6 months since the robbery, since the masks came off, since the entire country learned her name. Now she arrived early at the Torres Group building, no longer with a battered backpack, but with an ID badge that read Director of Corporate Security. Employees greeted her with respect. New hires whispered with admiration. Some still saw her as a legend, but she made a point to remind everyone she was real and still watching everything. The changes she brought to the company went beyond cameras and protocols. She created an internal policy that valued the invisible ones, doormen, cleaners, drivers. She introduced training that taught empathy as much as defense. She restructured all of security with a focus on intelligence, not intimidation. Camilla didn't just bring technique, she brought humanity, and it spread. Every week she received invitations for interviews, documentaries, conferences. She accepted some, declined others. She preferred to speak only when she had something to say. She went to public schools, shelters, forgotten communities. "We aren't born invisible. The world was taught not to see us," she said. Each speech cracked something open in listeners' minds. Each gesture reminded them she came from the same floors many of them still cleaned. One morning, a receptionist told her a woman had been waiting almost an hour. "She doesn't have an appointment, but says she needs to talk to you." Camilla found it strange, went down to the lobby, and froze for a moment. Veronica Salgado. Simple clothes, smudged makeup, deep circles under her eyes. Nothing remained of the former queen of the society pages. The woman standing there was someone else. Veronica stood slowly, tried to hold herself upright, but failed. "Camilla, please, but I know I probably shouldn't be here." Silence. "I lost everything. Sponsors, friends, reputation. I was cancelled even by my own family. No one will hire me. No one trusts me to run anything anymore." More silence. Camilla just watched her. She looked beyond the words, saw what remained when pride crumbled. Veronica took a deep breath. "I just want a chance. Anything. I'm willing to start from scratch." Or for a moment, Camilla tasted the bitterness of the past. She remembered the humiliations, the laughter, the looks, the contempt with which she'd been treated. She could have taken revenge with a single word. No. But that wasn't who she was. Hours later, in the meeting room, Veronica sat beside the HR coordinator, signing a contract as a trainee assistant. An entry-level role, modest pay, full-time work. She would start by organizing files and helping with small administrative tasks. Nothing glamorous, but it was a restart. At the end, Camilla passed by her and said only, "Here, everyone starts at the bottom. The difference is what you do with it." Veronica just nodded, swallowed her pride, and thanked her. That night, Camilla was invited to a community event at a cultural center in the outskirts. Packed auditorium, kids, teens, mothers, banners read, "Invisible, never again." She walked onto the stage without a microphone, didn't need to raise her voice. "I didn't come here to tell my story today. I came to hear yours, because I'm not an exception. I'm just one among millions. The only difference is someone turned on the camera." Respectful silence, and then applause that wouldn't end. After the event, a little girl, maybe 9 years old, came up shyly, holding a drawing. Camilla in a cleaner's uniform on one side and a business suit on the other. "Did you always want to be a housekeeper?" Camilla smiled. "I wanted to be invisible." "Why?" the girl asked, confused. She crouched down and answered calmly, "Because invisible means nobody hurts you, nobody judges you. But life taught me, even the invisible can change the world." The next morning, the city woke up to a new billboard on the main avenue, an image of Camilla Duarte standing with arms crossed, the silhouette of a city in the background. The slogan read, "Courage doesn't wear a uniform, and dignity isn't scrubbed off the floor." If this story moved you, leave a comment with the word respect. That already shows you see the invisible ones. And if you want more people to feel what you felt, leave a like and subscribe. It's the simplest way to spread this message.